Welcome back for another wonderful episode of Talking Sports here with your Dad Bacon. I am Big Ben, joined by my friends Steve and TJ. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Hold on, I'm muting myself, so that tells you that we are starting off on a great hand tonight, but I am doing great.
I'm wondering how I did not come up with the idea for the torpedo bats. I could be making a lot of money right now if I had been this genius that had come up with that idea. Sorry, Brewer.
Real talk here for a second. How many guys are using the pickup line now? Want to see my torpedo bat? I'm just asking.
A lot.
I mean, hits almost constantly, right?
It's funny too because Steve, was it you that posted it in the chat? It was like, how do you guys feel about the bats? I'm like, they're cheating. This is cheating. And I'm just like, right now, I'm like, dude, I kind of want one to see how this goes. Like, I want to see if I can hit a dinger now.
So, and I played tennis in high school, and people used to complain then because in the early 2000s, you saw a lot of these oversized rackets come out. The sweet spots were huge. So you could play with this, and it felt like you couldn't miss the ball. And the same thing came up then. It was like, hey, you're cheating playing with a big racket face. So, I mean, look, my team got scorched by them, but if it's legal, it's legal. I'll get over it. So, with that said, gentlemen, we've got a Final Four coming up this weekend. That's going to be electric. And I want to ask you guys your opinions. Who you got? Steve, we'll start with you.
I'm taking the Gators.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with how they came back. I mean, I thought they were gone. I thought they were out, and for them to come back and win that game like they did, I mean, Houston I expected, Duke I expected. I mean, Cooper Flag is playing his tail off.
Yeah.
I mean, especially after they getting injured. Doesn't sound like the injury was that bad in the ACC tournament. And then Auburn. I mean, Bruce Pearl always puts a good team together, but I'm looking at that Florida team. I mean, they looked good. They did what they needed to do, and I had them picked going into the final or going into the March Madness, and I'm going to pick them. I'm going to ride them all the way to the finish line at this point.
Fair enough.
Take this out.
TJ, besides knowing how to open up a box, what do you think of the Final
Okay,
Four?
hold on. This just makes me so happy. It's called Fat Boys.
You know, if the sandwich fits, put it in your mouth. But anyway, what do you got for your Final Four, bud?
So, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know who's playing who, so I'm not sure how I'm gonna word this.
So Auburn, Florida is the first part, and then you also have Houston and Duke.
Okay, so that's better. So, I like Florida. I'm kind of with Steve. You know, I thought they were kind of out of it a little bit later. Exactly. They, you know, I'm happy how they've been playing recently. They've been really playing lights out. I feel like this is a team that against Auburn, I feel like that'll show the dominance of the SEC in their aspect because they were very dominant in the SEC division as itself. So I think, you know, in my eyes, I think Florida is going to be the team to beat. And then, you know, Duke and Houston, you know, I'm going to be a homer on this one.
Yeah.
And the only reason why is I'm going Houston all the way. Okay. There's nothing that can beat Space City, man. So, you know, I think Houston and Florida is going to be I would say it would be a solid game to watch. Do I think Duke has a chance to beat them? I do. But every time I put some type of game out there, it always seems to just shock everybody that I'm right about it. So I'm going to say right now it's going to be Florida and Houston, and Houston actually wins this thing. And I'm going to look at everybody and saying, ha, I told you so.
My hat says otherwise, but you always being right. But we'll talk about that. So, look, I'm going to say this. I'm with Steve on this one. I think Florida gets it. Auburn, to me, they've had weird moments in SEC play where they've lost to like Florida. They've lost wasn't to Ole Miss, I think. Like they had some losses that came up in SEC play that definitely I think come back up around to hurt them here. Icy Riz, I see you there. Agreed. Auburn's Big Men are tough. They are rebounding. Look, Bruce Pearl is a sanction waiting to happen. So I'm curious when Auburn's going to get those sanctions dropped on them because I'm sure there's something wrong. But in today's day and age, are there any rules anyway? Who knows? But look, Houston's they had a good year last year, good team this year. Duke's going to get Duke calls, and that's my problem.
Yep.
Like you got to play that sixth man all the time when you're on the court playing Duke, and I don't know how that's going to fare for Houston. Regardless, this Florida team, for me watching them, might be as good as those Billy Donovan teams. Now they have the most punchable face coach in the Final Four, but with that said, the dude's coaching them up. They're playing well, so I'm taking Florida to win the national championship, beating Duke in that final. So
let me see something. Let's see here. I'm looking at they have not announced the game assignments yet for the officials, but I'm looking at some of the guys that they've assigned. Roger Ayers, who is a consistent top performer as an official, is a potential for one of the games. Kip Kissinger, another name that does a lot of high games. Terry Oglesby, Marcus Pettigrew. So they've put, and the rest of them, I know these names, but some of the big hitters are calling these games. The question is, what game are they going to get assigned to, and who do they favor? Because you just said that Duke calls. It's going to depend on who out of that group they put on each game.
Well, and I think if you can go back on some of those games too, you can see who exactly has been there, at those Duke games. So if that name pops up next to the Duke game, that game's going to go Duke's way 100%.
Combs, the real Combsy, please stand up.
Big Ben.
How you doing, my friend?
TJ, Steve, what's going on, boys?
Hey, Combs, can I say something right now?
What's up?
You're welcome for Kyle Tucker and how awesome he's performing. And also, fuck the Cubs. I hate you guys for taking the best player.
I mean, look, if it makes you feel any better, we traded you guys Cam Smith for 6 months of Kyle Tucker because the Cubs are never going to pay that contract.
I'll be honest with you, dude. He's a solid kid to watch. I truly enjoy him. The other dude we picked up, I don't like him. He's too fat. He's slow. He should have stayed in Chicago and kept those Chicago dogs in his mouth.
Isaac Paredes?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. Like, he's not going to hit for a high average or a ton of home runs, but he's a guy who every once in a while can carry you on his back for about 4 or 5 days.
I mean, he had a solid outing the other day. I mean, I wasn't too upset with it. He went 3 for 5, 2 ribbies, and a couple good on bases. But he has that slump. As I told Ben, there's a couple guys here in Baltimore couldn't hit a beach ball if it was in front of their fucking face. He's one of those guys in Houston right now that can do the same thing.
Yeah, he will swing at a lot of nonsense. He reminds me a lot of Alfonso Soriano back in the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hated that guy too. But anyway, Combs, before we go too far into baseball, I want to ask you, Final Four, who you got?
So in my bracket, I have Florida and Duke, and I have Florida beating Duke in the national championship game. Wow. Yes. Now, I will say that if I had to redo it right now, I would probably take Duke over Florida.
Okay.
Just because I think Duke is playing at a higher level as a team, whereas Florida is kind of being carried by Clayton. And I like a team that is playing in a championship setting. I like a team that is playing better as one, as opposed to just one guy carrying a team, because I just feel like you have a better opportunity there. Now, that being said, I mean, look, I've gotten 90% of my bracket correct. I've had 7 of the Elite 8. I have 3 of the Final 4. So I'm just hoping that I'm right, because I could win a lot of money if I finish this thing.
None of y'all are right.
Holmes went chalk on his bracket. Did you guys hear that? I heard he went chalk.
I did. So I didn't go all chalk. I did have 3 ones in the Final 4. I did go with Michigan State reaching the Final 4. Mm-hmm. But look, you can say all chalk all you want. I say correct. Brandon Holmes went all correct with his bracket as well.
Little Johnny Man's all time for you. So, but going to baseball, let's start with your Cubs. Early impressions for you. What are you thinking, and how do you feel right now?
Cautiously optimistic. I I picked the Reds in this division. I think the Reds are the best team in this division, and they went out and got Terry Francona. I think they had the best roster top to bottom, the deepest roster top to bottom in this division. And now they went out and got one of the best managers of all time. So I picked the Reds to win this division. I think the Cubs fans are excited right now because they're playing well, they're hitting well, and they are hitting well. I've been kind of impressed with the offense. However, we have to remember, they're 3-0 versus the A's. They're 2-4 versus everybody else. So it's not like they're just, being the best team in baseball right now. And it's a tough April. They go now, they've got the Padres. After the Padres, they play the Rangers. After the Rangers, they play the Dodgers. And then they got the Padres again, and then the Dodgers again. And then they play the Phillies in that stretch as well. It's a really tough April for the Cubs. And so, look, the schedule over time evens itself out. But I felt like if they went 12-18 by the end of April, I'd be okay with that just because of how the schedule shakes out. I'm worried about the bullpen. Jed Hoyer did it again, where he just built a bullpen made out of paper mache, and it's going to be a long season if they continue to pitch the way that they've pitched so far early in the season. I think it's going to be between the Cubs and the Reds for this division. And I know you probably have the Brewers up there because you always have the Brewers up there. And last year I was down on the Brewers, and the Brewers went out and did what they did, and they won the division. I don't know that the Brewers have – I don't know if the Brewers didn't lose too much to be able to keep sustaining what they've been doing. And I know, look, the Brewers are kind of like the Cardinals in that aspect. When you expect them to go down, they find a way to win no matter who's on the roster. And I commend them for that. But I feel like with the managers in Cincy and in Chicago, I think that the Cubs and the Reds are the cream of the crop of this division, and we'll see how it shakes out. I know why, and it took me a little bit to realize it, but I know why Jed went out and got Craig Counsell. It's because Craig Counsell is one of those guys who's always found a way to get the guys to outperform the back of their baseball card. And Jed said it time and time again this offseason, which makes me want to punch him in the throat even more, is that he built a roster with guys on the squad that need to outperform the back of their baseball card. And that's a dangerous hill to climb when you're in Major League Baseball, is to build a roster where you need guys to outperform as opposed to building a roster with talent. And I think that that's been Jed's problem ever since Theo left, which is why I don't think Jed Hoyer can ever build a championship team. I think even if the Cubs do find a way to win this division, they're not even in the same stratosphere as the Phillies, the Dodgers, and even the Padres at this point.
No, that's fair. I think one piece I'll throw you a bone here a little bit, believe it or not. Okay. I'll say this. The bullpen you can fix at the deadline, though. That's been seen and done before, where you can go and get those arms. So if the bullpen really is the only thing you're missing at that point, you have to feel pretty good. It's not like you're missing 2 bats and a starter. Like, it's a lot harder to go get those pieces that are going to actually come in and contribute, where you can go get bullpen arms, heck, in the minor league sometimes even, but just a matter of how it all plays out.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that. That assessment, you can do that. However, if by the time the trade deadline comes around, you're 10 or 15 games under 500, you might be thinking about trading Kyle Tucker at that point, as opposed to just letting him walk for free. I don't understand for the life of me. That's another thing about Jed Hoyer. How do you make that trade? How do you trade Cam Smith and Isaac Paredes and trade, a kid who's shooting up through your minor league system, who looks like he's going to be a stud, and you trade him for Kyle Tucker without already having a deal in place? That is the first mistake. And then the second mistake is now you're a week in. All of these other players are signing extensions and doing all this stuff around the league right now. And Kyle Tucker still doesn't have a long-term contract with the Cubs. I don't believe they're going to do. They've never, for as much grief as Cubs fans like to give Sox fans for never having, for their highest contract of all time being $75 million and Andrew Benintendi, the Cubs have never done one over $200 million. They've never done it. And Kyle Tucker is going to get north of 300. He's going to. Somebody's going to pay, and it's probably going to be the damn Yankees or the Dodgers.
Let's say the Dodgers or the Yankees.
Imagine him on the Dodgers next year. Yeah, people are mad now. Yeah. Good luck.
So we got some comments here. I'm going to go to Steve with this one. He wants to raise that Jolly Roger. So, Steve, how you feeling about your Pirates so far, buddy?
Thumbs down. Giant
Oh,
thumbs
wow.
down. Yeah, I'm not impressed. Dave Bednar, the closer, is just he's not with the team anymore. They optioned him to AAA because he had a 27 ERA when they got him. I mean, they took one from the Marlins and one from the Rays. And then I was just looking at their schedule for the rest of April. The Yankees come to town for a weekend series. Then they go to play. Then the Cardinals come to town. And then later they've got a week or West Coast swing of the Angels and the Dodgers. And then they come back to finish out the month to play at home against your beloved Cubbies. So
I'm looking forward to that with the schedule we have.
I think that it's going to be a very long season. They got out of the gate, unfortunately. I mean, spring training had those glimmers of hope. Hey, wow, look at that Grapefruit League record. I mean, they actually played decent in Grapefruit League. And then once the white hot spotlight gets put on them, they just, I mean, they were close in a couple games in Miami and they blew them. And then in Tampa, there were a couple. I mean, that's the thing. They lost the one game 7-0, but like they won 4-2 to the Rays. They lost 3-2 to the Marlins. They lost 5-4 to the Marlins. They won 4-3 over the Marlins. They lost 5-4 to the Marlins. So there's close games, but more often than not, so far, they are on the wrong side of that score sheet. And you can't have that happen because the beginning of the season sets the tone. These games that you lose in April and May are the ones that come back to bite you. For some reason, you get hot in the second half of the season, which I don't think is going to happen with the Pirates this year. But it's these games, the foundation that can cost you like, wow, if you're 4 games back, think about 4 of those games that you blew at the beginning of the season that put you right there in playoff contention, come August and September. So it's what it is. Trust me, there's more buzz about if Aaron Rodgers is coming to Pittsburgh and Sidney Crosby actually finishing up the season for the Penguins on a strong note than there is what are the Pirates doing. I mean, it's that's where we are. Like, I just usually watch highlights of the Pirates games. I wanted to watch a couple of the games with the Rays. I wanted to see how the Rays looked at Steinbrenner, which is a very unique atmosphere to have that type of a minor league park being a big league field. And it looks wonderful. But it just goes to show you that they need a dome down there because they said they've got to front and backload the Rays schedule for this year with home games because they're trying to avoid having them playing long stretches at home in June and July and August when it's going to be like baking out there. And it's also going to be baking out there in Sacramento for the A's. So no, Pirates raising the Jolly Roger. No.
I think the point for the Pirates this year is more who do they hold on to? Do they trade the wrong pieces at the deadline this year and hurt themselves long term, or do they? I mean, because guys like O'Neal Cruz are your future, right? I mean, obviously Paul Skeens are not going to get rid of, but these are the guys that you have to make sure you're keeping them around and building that team around those guys and not letting them be the next trade. I mean, we can go through the names over the course of history, right? Like how many guys the Pirates just traded away just when they get to that arbitration or that fourth, fifth year, right?
Yep.
I feel for you, buddy. I
mean, Ben Cherington, I feel, is a different general manager. I'm more confident about him as a GM. I don't know where the breakdown is, whether Derek Shelton just is not doing a good job managing the team and not surrounding himself with a good set of coaches to provide these players the support that they need. I think that was the difference during the years in the mid 2010s. It was different with how the team was composed, with how Clint Hurdle put his staff together. There was genuine interest in seeing that team win, supporting that team. And wins didn't come easy. I mean, I think there was one year it came down to the wire if they were going to make the playoffs or not. But there was a difference. I don't get excited about Derek Shelton. And the fact that they just keep holding on to him frustrates the living daylights out of me. Because Tito Francona is a local guy. If they would have made a play for him to fire Shelton and bring him instead of Tito going to the Reds, there would have been so much positive excitement in this town because people know Tito's name. But I don't know. I don't know what the Pirates' ultimate goal is, what their ulterior motive is. I can't figure it out. And there's plenty of other things that I can spend my evenings doing than watching what should be AAA baseball.
Well, the Pirates are a lot along the lines of like the ownership is a lot along the lines of the White Sox ownership, right? Where they're happy with as long as they're putting fans in the stands, they're okay with finishing third or fourth. They don't care about the actual product on the field as much as they do the money in their pockets. And when you talk about the Rays and Sacramento and the A's bacon out there, I volunteer that we have the owners, each owner of each team, sit out in center field in the middle of those games in the summer. And I guarantee you they will change their tune pretty damn quick. And I guarantee you both of those owners will understand, hey, we've got to do something here, because both of those, well, especially the A's fan base just deserves so much. It's so sad to see what has happened with the A's, who should still be in Oakland. They have a fan base that is, so good. That's actually a franchise that is rich with history. The Oakland A's are, and I know that they haven't been good for like the last 20 years or so. They have a couple of playoff appearances here and there, but when you're talking about late 80s, early 90s, the A's were they were the Yankees, they were the Dodgers of today. You know what I mean? Like, they were running things, and it's sad to see what's happened with them. So but the Pirates themselves, they're just, you get these owners, which is why I think when we have the end of this collective bargaining agreement, I believe it's at the end of next season, is when the collective bargaining agreement's up. I think we're going to have a long strike, because I think the owners are going to want to cap because of what the Dodgers have done. And I don't think that the Dodgers are ruining baseball. I just think that instead of having one billionaire own a team, they have 9 of them, so they can spend a lot more money than the rest of these teams can. I think what it's going to do is just change the face of baseball, because I think the owners are going to want a salary cap, and I think that the players are in turn going to ask for a salary floor. And I think that salary floor is going to be somewhere around 100 million. I think that the cap's going to be somewhere around 500 million, and you're going to have to figure it out. Now, I don't know the ins and outs and what how the Dodgers will have to do that, since they got like a $9 billion payroll this year. But you've got to do something. And in order to do that, you've got to force some of these cheap ass owners, like the guy that we have over here in Chicago, Jerry Reinsdorf, who has just torn down the Bulls franchise and the White Sox franchise in a city where the fans just deserve better. Even as a Cubs fan, I'll say that for White Sox fans, they deserve better. And you see these owners like the one in Pittsburgh, like the one in Cincinnati, even. These are really good fan bases that just deserve more, and they're not getting it. So when you force them to spend, it'll be a lot different. And I think you'll see a lot more parity, and I think you'll finally see that these franchises can start competing when you start forcing these guys to spend, as opposed to just collecting the money that they get from the revenue share.
Did everybody see the setup out in Sacramento for the press, for the post-game press conferences? It is a freaking prefabricated shed, not even attached to the ball, not even attached to the ballpark. It is just parked there.
So we carry the radio station I work for. We carry all of the Cubs games, and while the Cubs were there, we actually lost the signal for 45 minutes of the game because the internet went out at that stadium. They had no internet in the press boxes for 45 minutes whatsoever. So we were off air with the game. It was a nightmare. But that's what this organization is. That's what the A's have become.
So, TJ, before we get off baseball, I'll hit you a little bit. And dealer's choice. You want to do Baltimore or you want to do Houston? What do you kill today?
I can do both. You know me. I can multitask on 2 teams. Come on now.
Time for you.
Yeah, I know. Let me start with the. I'll start with the Astros. I'll get the worst out of the way. The first thing I have to say, one is get Altuve out of the fucking outfield, dude. Put him back in the infield because he can't catch a pop fly for nobody's business.
What were they thinking?
He's like, oh, I can, we just lost these guys. I'll go out there, I'll be a team player. Nah, man, you're too short for fucking outfield. Get back in the infield. Jesus, he can't cheat all the way out there anymore because the signal's so far away.
Well, you can hear the trash can from the outfield now.
Well, I don't know if you can hear the trash cans out there because they have plastic ones. The metal ones make more sound. The plastic
That's
ones
true.
are kind of silent.
The Astros fan would know that. That's true.
Yeah,
So
But he had a buzzer on his chest anyway, so it doesn't matter.
right.
exactly. But he loses that signal from home plate to now, so he can't
That's
really
fair.
cheat.
Yeah.
Well, he won't block the batter's eye. That's for sure.
That's
So-
very true. But no, I think they need to get Altuve out of the outfield. They put Jordan back out there today. They took him off of DH. The one thing that really pissed me off was we got rid of John Singleton. That was one of our best DHs I think we've had. He filled in at first base amazingly. And we just it seems like the Astros, like I said, we went from beating trash cans to now we're in the fucking trash can. I mean, I can't sit and watch an Astros game without either one cursing up a storm and my neighbors think that I'm yelling at my wife and probably call the cops on me, or I actually am kind of happy to watch a game. Like we actually won a game today and it felt good, but we beat the Twins. I mean
we are only 7 days into the season, and the Astros are 3-4. I mean,
yeah,
why are we jumping off a bridge?
because that's how we do it in Houston. If we ain't cheating the right way, we ain't cheating at all.
Okay, all right, fair.
So, if we're not undefeated, it's a lost season already. But
Oh,
no,
boy.
I think, there's
Yikes. I had to see this guy in football season.
Right.
oh man, you miss it. You missed it. You missed it this year.
So I'm gonna twist you here a little bit, and that's the Astros are still good for making those moves. They find ways to make moves.
So they just picked up I want to say a right-hander from Toronto because we just put Christian Javier on the minors. He had a small strain in the elbow. They're just like out of precaution. He said it wasn't much. They did an MRI. It came back negative for anything that they would think would have to go through Tommy John's or anything like that. That's a massive plus. So they just want to get him to rehab, maybe figure out why he's sore, maybe because he did pitch a lot in. I want to say they're in the grapefruit or cactus. I can't remember what league they're in.
Grapefruit.
But thank you. So I think what they're going to do is just make sure that everything's good for him. But outside of that, Cam Smith really did a lot for his first game. He looked solid. Topps actually did one. The Topps Now cards of Cam Smith. First base hit. And I ordered one, so who knows? I may get it signed because he only signed like 30 of them. So if I get a signed one, Combs, I'll send you one as well.
All right. I like it.
But, I think, the Cam Smith one, I like that. Isaac Paredes, I can't stand him. I mean, yes, he's probably going to be in there for a good, he'll probably be a good at bat when we need it, but I don't feel like he's gelling very well with a lot of the guys here with the Astros. I mean,
It's so early though, dude. It's so early.
care. It's all what is baseball season. I am all in already. My chips are on the table. We're winning the World Series with beating trash cans. Okay.
Well, let's go closer to home for you here. How about those O's?
You know what? I'm going to tell you right now. The one guy for the O's that has really surprised me is Zach Eflin. The guy is really starting to find his command on the pitch. He's doing very, very well. The outing he had against Toronto, he looked very well. The outing he had last night against the Red Sox, dude, he had a phenomenal start. The bats just were not hot for the O's. That was again, it's the beginning of the season for the O's. They are ones that I could definitely calm down for. The Astros, not really. So, I think that's one of the biggest pluses is they have been finding pitchers to replace the guys that they don't have. Grayson Rodriguez is coming back. He was just throwing long balls today. There was a video of him doing that, so that's great. Felix Bautista is back. He doesn't have the same velocity as before, but I give it towards I say middle of the season. We'll see him back in the triple digits. I think the fastest he hit so far was like 97 on a fastball. We're used to him throwing 101 to 105. I mean, the dude had a wicked four seam. He's got a nice cutter. I think we just give it a little bit of time. He'll be back. Let's see, Bradish. They said Bradish is looking okay. He's got a lot to look at. He still has some soreness. The big announcement was today around, I want to say like noon, is that Gunnar Henderson's back. He's flying with he's actually meeting the team in Kansas City. He's still down in Norfolk, but he had a solid stint in Norfolk. I think he went like 8 for 12 or something like that with like 6 home runs. I mean, the dude was ready. He wanted to come back. They just wanted to get him down there to, start his thing. Colton Cowser's out 6 to 8 weeks minimum with a fractured thumb. I feel like that's a big blow. That's a guy who really during spring training showed that he's on that main roster. He's good to go. They bring up Carlson, who again he can't hit a beach ball if it was in front of him. I mean, he had a solid pitch in front of him today, and he whiffed on it like nobody's business. I mean, and I'm not saying I can hit an 85-mile-an-hour fastball past me as well, but I would give it a better try than him and probably nick it off the bat and be like the dude from Benchwarmers as I hit the ball. Like, I mean, I'll cheer for that one.
So how long till Kobe Mayo comes up?
He's not coming up until the end of the season.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that right now. He did not impress me in spring training at all. He kind of made a dud. I'll be honest with you. He did not impress me. The one guy who did was Enrique Bradfield Jr., and the fact that they just said, screw you, you're going back to Bowie, and now he's in AA ball again, I think that's a massive kick in his face. I give it about, I say May, Enrique is going to be at AAA. And then in maybe June or July, we'll see Enrique back in he'll be on the roster for the main, for MLB. I think it's going to be more of, that outfield's going to need a little work. Jorge Mateo's really lost himself. So I think they may put him down, bring up Bradfield. If not, maybe when Cowser gets better, they just start flip-flopping there. It sucks because no matter where you look on that roster for the O's, they're stacked. I mean, AA, single A, AAA, they have so many amazing players that could come up on that roster at any moment and make a big statement. And it shows with Jackson Holiday and what he did last year. He's still trying to fit in. He had a home run in the Blue Jay series. His bat really cooled off recently, but his stride is different. He's starting to mature and grow. He's finally 21, so when they win something, he can drink champagne. He ain't drinking that fizzy shit that they had last time. So I think the O's for me right now, I'm very optimistic for them. I think this should be a fun couple games. I think Kansas City is going to be a good test for them. The Boston series alone, dude. Good
Boston's
Lord,
so good too, though. In Baltimore's, I think Baltimore. I picked Baltimore to win this division. I think it's going to be between them and the Yankees. But I think Boston's so damn good so early. If they start hitting along with their pitching, I mean, they could be right in the thick of things. This could be a 3-team race.
Oh, 100%. And when you look at what, the whole turmoil with Devers and Bregman, that, I don't want to be a DH. I'm a solid third baseman. I'll be honest with you. Bregman kind of showed his own. He literally took a punch from the dirt, and he came back and played. Devers would have probably laid there for 10 minutes crying. He'd be out for 3 weeks with like a nose soreness, and I can't do that. So, with Bregman, the Bregman and, Raffy Devers type of deal, cool. Let them duke that one out because it's going to show you that Bregman's a better third baseman and that this was a solid pickup for the Red Sox. But Crochet, man, his outing last night, 8 innings, 4 hits, 8 strikeouts, and he had a 1.38 ERA. I mean,
new contract energy, buddy. New contract energy.
If that's new contract energy, you know what? Severna Parks, Jackson Merrill with San Diego, he better win a freaking MVP this year. Because, good Lord.
Yeah. Look, so going through that, I think that there's a lot of fun. Look, the Brewers are now 3-4 after our horrible start. beat the Reds 1-0 today. Nestor Cortez, 6 innings of one-hit baseball for him. Good to see him actually not get owned. But look, I think right now my preseason pick is still I'll stick with, but I will say this, and it's going to be I'll try to give both sides of my Brewers takes here. Number one, I still like our bats overall. We still have guys that I like the way that the roster sets up. But as we've seen already, the pitching is going to be our question this year. That it's how good is this depth actually, and can they get anyone back in this rotation? We went from having 8 starters to 3 within a matter of a week. It felt like. So I'm curious how that'll all shake out. But Brewers till I die, I will say, without Euchre, it just doesn't feel like baseball. But hey, look, baseball's on. I'm ready for it. And as TJ always says, man, watch some college baseball too. It's good stuff.
Yeah, you've got to remember too. I think a lot of people got to remember. I know TJ was going off the deep end with the Astro. It's still early, man. It's
Right.
still early. We're in a world right now where the Toronto Blue Jays are in first place in the AL East, and the Atlanta Braves have not won a game.
Yeah.
Like, do we really believe that the Blue Jays are going to win the division and the Braves are the worst team in baseball? Probably not, right?
Well, I'll say this: we're basically through the third quarter of the first NFL game of the season. So basically, where we're at right now, as far as it's a little further than that. But that's basically where we're at right now, guys. If you're judging your NFL team based on the first 3 quarters of the season, that's where we're at, right? So we'll let the boys play, and we'll see what we get.
And check out that American League Central, where you got
2 and
4
4,
teams, 4 2-4s, and a 2-5 right now.
Yeah. Look, man, that's gonna be. There's a lot of fun teams in these divisions. I think the Royals and the Tigers are going to be absolutely fun to watch all season long. I think the Reds are going to be a fun watch all season long.
Yep.
Like a lot of these really young, fast teams are going to be fun watches. But I mean, it's early, right? So you know that eventually at some point here, you know, the Cardinals, who have started out, they start out 4-0, now they're all of a sudden they're 4-2. The Dodgers and the Padres are both undefeated. I mean, at some point they're going to lose, right? The Dodgers might go 162-0, but the Padres sure aren't. And you know, now and then you talk about the bats. Now everybody's talking about these bats. Look, I get some teams are using them. I get that it's, you know, some of the guys that are using them on some teams are hitting home runs, but I can end the notion that the torpedo bat is an automatic home run with 2 words: Nico Horner. Nico Horner is using a torpedo bat. They do not produce home runs. It's the guy who's swinging. All they did was take the barrel of the bat and move it. It's numbers. Where is the bat contacting? Where's the ball contacting your bat the most? Okay, cool. Yep. We're gonna move the barrel there. Yep. So now it just looks like a funny bat. That's all that it is. So stop with the nonsense of this team's cheating, that team's cheating. Everybody gets a fair chance to use them. Anybody who wants to use it can use it. It's just a funny looking bat. It looks like a bowling pin on top of a stick.
Yeah,
that's all that it looks like. So stop crying about it. Not everybody's going to hit a home run with it. Some guys are better than others. Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge don't use them.
Yep.
All right, can I say something real quick? So they just put out the game for today, the Boston-Baltimore game. Charlie Morton went 5 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs with a 5.33 ERA and 10 Ks.
Yeah,
solid.
Boston's hitting, and Charlie Morton. I mean, he did his thing, but it's still early. Like I said, I mean, it's still cold outside. It's still cold outside. People,
what did we say
is going to be ahead of
today?
hitting.
Ben, what did you say today when I said Charlie Morton sucks or he's a bum? He's old. Yes, he's an old bum.
Oh, stop. Charlie Morton.
You're making
He was fantastic last year
it.
in Atlanta.
I'll leave you all with the fact before we move topics.
Yeah.
There's only one current team that has never appeared in a World Series. Who is
one current team that has not appeared in a World Series?
Yes.
The Mariners.
The Mariners.
The Mariners, yeah.
The Mariners. Only team out of the current 30 active major league teams that has not made it to a World Series.
So hold on. We don't have Charlie here. So can I say the Bravos suck? Oh, and Troy as well. Troy's not here. The Bravos suck. Your little
We
tomahawk.
just had
chop-
this conversation. We are a week in, sir. Do you really believe that the Braves are the worst team in baseball?
Yes. And I'm going to give it to the White Sox because they finally are winning.
They won
They
two
won
games.
2 games.
Still a
All
win.
right.
More than
That's
the
less
Bravos.
games
All
than
right.
your
TJ, you're making me agree
Astros
with
have won
Combs.
that you jumped off the bridge for.
TJ, you're making this look bad. I'm agreeing with Combs now. That's how bad you've gotten here, bud. Come on now. So, changing topics here a little bit. The UFL guys, we made a few good conversations before in the show about it, and I want to bring it up here. The first 2 games were duds, but Sunday brought some pretty decent games overall. Battlehawks Roughnecks was 31-6 to start the season off. Brahmas got spanked by the Renegades, 33-9. And then going to Sunday, we had 26-12 win for the Michigan Panthers over the Showboats, and the Defenders beat the Stallions 18-11. Guys, have you watching these games, and what do you think?
The WNBA of the NFL? No, I did not watch any of these games. As a matter of fact, if it was women playing, I probably would have watched more than what I watched of these games because
Combs is the guy you knew who he's against a lingerie football. Like that's where Combs is coming from right now.
who wouldn't have watched it? Tell me that if it was lingerie football on Fox instead of the UFL, that you guys wouldn't have taken up all 4 quarters as opposed to absolutely not. Anybody who says that they watched these games, other than maybe Ben, is lying to you.
So I'll be honest. I do watch it just because DC Defenders are not that far, so I'll watch it just to support them. But if there was lingerie football on Fox and it was free, I'm still paying a membership of $99 just to watch it anymore.
I will admit, I watched it not for the action. I watched it more for the innovation. I want to see what they're trying to push the NFL's way. Having the first down electronically that actually works correctly, that was impressive. They had a third down that was a very tight measurement. They put the ball down. They said, give us a measurement. The thing showed up on the screen, said, ball is short. And they literally communicated it, ball is short, and they played. Like, that's how it has to happen. Hearing the coach communication to the players, like, I get it. The NFL is all secretive about that crap. But to have that extra, like, to understand what the coaches are thinking and how they're communicating, and then to top it all off, you know how I think about officiating. It's something that I just watch. To have that transparency between the command center and the officials in game, where you're hearing the communication, you're hearing the conferences between the officials. When Blandino's making a call in the command center, he's actually talking on the broadcast. Like, here's what's happening, guys. Here's what angles we're looking at. Like, the NFL is so freaking secretive about, like, where the ball is placed, or like, Blandino's like, here's what angle we got. He didn't do it. Keep playing. There's no foul. Like, we need that in the NFL. Give us some transparency. The fact that we now have the college referees going to the table and speaking into a microphone and saying, here's what we're reviewing. I know this is kind of going a little off topic of the UFL, Ben, but like, we need the transparency. Tell us what you're thinking. Help us out. Help the fan to be more confident that what you're sharing with us. Oh man. I know.
We lost Ben.
I got
You started talking about the UFL. You started talking about the UFL, and now all of a sudden, just like the UFL viewers, we lost Ben.
There he is.
There he is. But I think that it's just transparency is my word of the day. Let the UFL be. And just to finish up my thought, the NFL used to send officials that needed some remedial work up to Canada to work CFL games over the summer. COVID put a kibosh on that. Well, they worked out a little deal with the UFL to send some of their remedial officials to the UFL to work some games this spring to get some more reps at the pro level. So the NFL sees that as something where I know it's not the best official, the best game in the world, but it's pro football action and hopefully improves the NFL product at the same time.
So
Ben, how can you expect people to watch more UFL
Oh.
if you leave the show while we're talking UFL. You
I'm
don't
gonna
even want to
think-
hear us talk about it.
I'm going to give you some transparency here, guys. In replay, my fat fingers hit that button on my new mouse, and it took me back a window apparently. So my bad.
After
But-
further review,
Further review, Ben's an idiot. But anyway, we guys knew that, so we'll keep going. I want to do a little more of an exercise with you guys on the NFL draft. I mean, obviously, Green Bay, we're excited about it here. We're getting to host the event. Things are starting to happen here. We got roads closing already, and all good things. But I want to go ahead and take us into a mock draft here for a second. So, Combs, I'm going to ask you to pick first for me for the Tennessee Titans. Where are you going and why?
If it was me,
Yep.
I'm not picking any quarterback. I'm not going quarterback. I would go with the best player in this draft, and I would go with I'm gonna lose his name now here. The defensive end from Penn State,
Abdul Carter.
Abdul Carter. Just in here's why. Because if you take any of these quarterbacks in this draft, you're setting your franchise back. And you're going to be looking for another quarterback in 3 years, whether it's Cam Ward, whether it's Shedeur Sanders, whether it's Jackson Dart. You are going to be setting your franchise back because none of these guys are ready to start week one. None of these guys are franchise changing players. So I would stay away from the quarterback and I would not set myself back. Now, if it's what I think is going to happen, I think they're going to take Cam Ward.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. For the sake of our discussion, we'll go with Abdul Carter to the Titans to start the draft off. Steve, I'm going to go to you. Going to the Browns. With Abdul Carter off the board, who would you go with?
I mean, that's a tough decision because I was already looking ahead to pick 3. So you put me on the spot there, Ben.
I'm good for that.
Uh-huh. I mean, I'll give you my 3 and 4 then, or 2 and 3. I think that the Jags might look at Mason Graham from Michigan, because defense is something. I mean, I want to see how this all plays out with all the shifting they did on offense in the off season, bringing in their new quarterback room, and Kenny Pickett now making home up there. But my thing is to pick at 3. I want to see Travis Hunter go to the Giants. It's one of those things where I think Russell Wilson got the short end of the stick after all in Pittsburgh because I think he would have done well with DK Metcalf, having played with him before. But having a two-way player like Travis Hunter, if the thing plays out like they say it's going to, where Russell Wilson is declaring already he is the starter, I think that Russell Wilson might find a nice target in Travis Hunter if he ends up on the offensive side of the ball. And so, I'll leave it at that because that's kind of when the whole thing went down with the Giants, I was like, maybe Travis Hunter is going to end up there after all. And I mean, it would be interesting to see where he lands because he is such a prolific two-way player at the college level, whether they put him on the offensive or defensive side of the ball. But I think if Wilson gets a chance with him, and maybe Wilson's looking for some redemption after the pretty disastrous season in Pittsburgh last year, Hunter might be a great weapon for the Giants.
So I have on good authority, because I do a show on Sundays with a guy who works for WFAN, and he's a Giants insider, that it doesn't matter that they went out and signed 2 quarterbacks. They love Shedeur Sanders. They love Shedeur Sanders, and he is adamant that this team is picking Shedeur Sanders at 3.
I would stay.
I'm with you.
Away from,
I think it's a joke. I think it's bad.
Far
but
away
that's
from Shedeur Sanders as possible, because you're going to get the baggage. Everybody can say that Coach Prime's going to be tied up in Colorado with his team, but trust me, he is going to somehow make his presence known wherever his son lands. He'll end up being that coach with Colorado that says, you guys fly home on the charter, my private jet's waiting, I'm going to see Shedeur play tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I wouldn't do it either. I'm with you on the pick that they should take, but I'm just saying. He says it every week, and he just put his money down. He placed his bet that the Giants are taking quarterback at number 3.
That's crazy.
And
But
he's an insider. He's in with he does a show with Tiki Barber.
the guy knows something then, right? But
Yeah.
so, all right, I'm going to rewind you for a second. So we got Abdul Carter to the Titans. Steve flipped the script on me a little bit in return. Well, with Mason Graham to the Browns and Travis Hunter to the Giants. So, TJ, I'm going to go to you. If you're the Pats and the Jags, what are you taking?
I'll take the Pats and the Jags. So for the Pats, I think they're going to pick up Will Campbell from LSU, the offensive tackle. They need to solidify that line for Drake May. I think that's going to be the one guy I take him over Kelvin Banks. I think Banks still needs a little bit of work. So I think he's more of a second rounder. If he does go first round, congrats to him. I think that's that's a dream come true for him. But I'm not sure who he would fit in if they don't pick up Campbell at number 4. I think that would be Banks. But I think they're set on Campbell. I mean he's a solid guy, and I think he's the high rate for a lineman. So for the Jags, I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball here. I think they're going to go with hold on. I have it right here. Matthew Golden from Texas.
Ooh.
Receiver for Trevor Lawrence to have. He was a very solid receiver, for Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning during the season. I think it's a good spot for him to go to. He can learn. I'm not really sure if I could say Trevor Lawrence can help him grow, but I feel like he could make a massive presence for himself, and maybe after a 5-year or whatever, he'll go somewhere else. But I think that that's going to be the sleeper pick right there is Matthew Golden going in the top 5.
That would be a shocker. I like it, though.
That would be a shock.
So I'm going to kick back to you, Combs, here with the Raiders. Where are you going?
Ashton Genty. For 2 reasons. One, I think that it's just something dumb that the Raiders would do. And it's going to irate Raider fans. And the second reason is because I want him off the board before the Bears get a chance to do something stupid. And I don't want Ashton Genty anywhere near the draft at 10 when the Bears are ready to pick. So Raiders save the day, and they take Ashton Genty at 6.
Fair enough. Steve, Jets, Jets. Where are you going?
Jets. Oh, my goodness. Who's off the board so far? I can't see your screen, Ben. I got to blow your screen up.
Oh, sorry.
We're good. All right. So Will Campbell's off the board because I was looking at him. Let me see here. Let's look at Kelvin Banks Jr. I think that, the Jets need to go offensive side of the ball. They need to get some work on that side to get it was a garbage fire last year. I mean, sorry. I mean, they really did not do Aaron Rodgers any favors. And if they're going to survive with Justin Fields, they need a strong offensive line. So they need to work on shoring that up. With Campbell off the board, I'm going to look at Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas.
All right, TJ. Panthers are on the clock, and you're picking for them. Who are you taking?
Jahdae Barron from Texas. They need that cornerback to solidify that secondary. I think that's who they're going to go for. They had a lot of places have them going D-line in the first pick for them. I think that they're going to get somebody on that back end to help them out. Offensively, I'm not sure who they would really pick on the offensive side. It says receiver, edge, and a DB. I think receiver they may pick up on the later rounds to see who has fallen to that second round. But I think they're going to do something wild and go on that third. They need a defensive back. I think they're going to go Barron on this one.
I think it's a nice pairing, too, with J.C. Horn.
Yes.
So I'm going to hop in here for the Saints for a second, and I'm going to go and make their pick. I'm going McMillan. I think that you put him in there with Olave. I think that creates a much better wide receiving group for them overall. You got a bunch of role players kind of overachieving there sometimes, but I think McMillan becomes a really solid piece for them and gives another target there. Combs, also I planned this. Go ahead and pick for your Bears, bud.
So there's a couple ways you could go here, right? Because you could go tight end, because I do like the idea of either Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland and being able to have, a five wide set with protection for Caleb Williams would just excite me. I'd be all tight in the pants if that happened. Or you could also go edge rusher, because Mikael Williams and Jalen Walker are both out there. You can shore up your defense. Mason Graham doesn't fall to you at 10. If he does, that's a perfect world. But I'm going to go with the best tackle, I believe, in this draft. And you guys didn't take him ahead of me. I would go with Armin Membu. Armin Membu is one of the most athletic tackles I've ever seen. I mean, this guy ran a 4.9 40.
Yeah.
He is 6'6", 340. He ran a 4.9 40 and had a 34-inch vertical. This is a godsend if Armand Membu is there, and you're shoring up your left tackle side. You're shoring up what you can do with the offensive line. And I know Tyler Warren and all that is out there, but you've got so much opportunity behind you with the 40th and 41st pick back-to-back in the second round. You've got so many things that you can do there. I think shoring up your offensive line and building depth on that offensive line is where a good franchise would go. And the Bears are finally starting to lean towards the identity of a good franchise, which is surprising to me.
You and me both, brother. Steve, take the 49ers, bud.
I'm going to take Will Johnson. 49ers need corners. I mean, he's a good player. I think he'd fit out there nicely in the Bay Area. Let's see what happens.
Okay. TJ, your Cowboys.
So, all right, this is going to be – this is funny because –
how are they going to fuck it up, TJ? How are they going to fuck it up?
Massively, they're going to fuck this up. So, all of the Dallas sports talk that I've been listening to, they say they're going Matthew Golden. There's one guy that I trust on that whole thing, and he goes, no, they're not going to do that. They're going quarterback, and they're going to pick up Jackson Dart. They need somebody to back up Dak Prescott.
Interesting.
They just picked up Joe Milton. And I was like, okay, whatever. Trey Lance, they're going to release him. And
you might as well just draft me.
I know, right?
Wow.
He's a lot faster, bud. Jackson Dart's lightning.
They
White
said
lightning
Jackson Dart. But I'm going to put a spin on this. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're going after James Bond himself, Isaiah Bond from Texas. We need speed. We need somebody to get the triple team, double team off of CeeDee Lamb. Give him that small slot. He fits in perfectly. He's a Brandon Cooks at a younger age. Give me Isaiah Bond.
They're going Shador so that they can hire Dion next year.
If that happens, I'm going to eeny, meeny, miny, mo on what team I'm going to, and it's probably going to be the Packers.
Welcome to the party, pal. It's a good time. I'll take the Dolphins here. Tyler Warren's coming off the board. To me, he's, in my opinion, probably the third best player in this draft. The guy's incredible, great talent. You put him down there in South Beach. I think he puts a good additional piece to that offense that helps them keep moving. Combs, the Colts. Who you got?
Oh man. For the Colts, I will go with an edge rusher. I'm gonna go with Jalen Walker from Georgia. I think he's the best edge rusher on the board. They've got two edge rushers, him and Mikael Williams. I give the slight nod there to Jalen Walker. So I'm gonna take Jalen Walker for that to help that defense out, be able to attack a pass rush every once in a while.
I like that. Steve, Atlanta.
Let's go with that Luther Burden III from Missouri. I saw him play a little bit this season. He's drafting down. The drafts are not giving him as high of a, he's looking at a late first rounder in some of the projections, but that's the Falcons need. They need a good running or a good wide receiver. So get somebody that's coming out of a good season, a good conference, and rock and roll.
Okay. TJ, the Cardinals.
So I'm going to stick on my wide receiver, Ben. I think they're going to go Jalen Noel from Iowa State. They need somebody to help Kyler Murray out. Marvin Harrison Jr. was kind of a dud in my eyes. I think, it was his first year. I understand that. There was a lot of, turmoil with him and doing all this stuff. I think they need something to get that, bad taste out of their mouth. They had a kind of an iffy season last year. Jalen Noel, dude, he was, in my eyes, in the Big 12, he was a solid player. They have him going late second round, but if, this is a mock draft, I think this will be a perfect fit for him. It's a good scheme for him to fit in. It's just like Iowa State. I think this is going to be perfect for him to play here.
Okay. I'm going to keep this thing rolling. I'm going to put Jihad Campbell going to the Bengals. I think it's a good fit to the defense as well. A Bama guy. And we'll see what the Bengals can do with that. Combs, Seattle.
Seattle is on the clock. Let's go with what is Seattle? Seattle's gonna probably go offensive line if they can. Let's go with you know what? I'm gonna throw a wrinkle in this. I think they're gonna take the other edge rusher. I think they're gonna take Mikael Williams. Let's go there. Because they're Seattle. Who cares anyway?
Isn't that the truth? Steve, the Buccos.
You let me pick a 21 too?
I am actually, yes.
James Pierce Jr. I think he'll do well down in Bucks country down there in Tampa.
Okay.
Yeah.
TJ, Broncos.
See, they need a running back, receiver, center, and D-line. I'm going to go with the Donovan kid from Boston College. I think that'll help them out on their D-line. I think that's a good fit for him. I mean, we'll see, but I think that's a solid fit.
All right. Steve, back to you for this one.
I'm pulling my hair out on this one because there's two really good players that I think would both be a great fit for the Steelers. Either Walter Nolan from Ole Miss on the defensive side of the ball. I think he'd fit right into the Steelers defense. But on the other side of the coin, I think Omarion Hampton from North Carolina, with them getting rid of Najee this offseason, could be a great back with Jalen. It's a tough call because either way, they're going to either need the support of the running backs if Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback solution, or they're going to need a stout defense to bail Aaron Rodgers' rear end out, because I don't think he's going to be putting up that many points on the board every game. Man alive. I'm going to take Walter Nolan from Ole Miss.
Okay. Combs, throwing you the Chargers, so I take the Packers. What do you got?
Are we allowed to trade? Because I think that the Bears are going to trade to 19 anyway, but I think the Bears are going to trade back into the first round. And I think that they are going to trade back in the first round to take a guy that Steve actually just mentioned. That's Omarion Hampton.
So let's do this real quick.
You don't have to trade. I'm just saying we'll put Omarion Hampton there. But I actually think when you said Omarion Hampton, I was like, oh, if he goes there. Because I actually think that the Bears are going to trade back into this round. I believe Tampa or the Chargers makes sense. If not, it might happen later with Houston. But I think the Bears coming back into the first round to get Omarion Hampton, so that way they don't have to wait all the way to 40 and hope that he's still there. Omarion Hampton's a dude. I think Omarion Hampton is better than Ashton Genty. I think Omarion Hampton might be the top back in this draft class. You watch the way that he graded out. He graded out just like Saquon Barkley did in the combine. He was absolutely fantastic. And I just think here's the thing is he plays for North Carolina, so he didn't get the same pub that Ashton Genty did for, averaging 200 yards a game against the Mountain West Conference, which I don't believe is going to translate into the NFL. I think Omarion Hampton is the best running back in this draft.
So let's throw a trade together here, Combs. What got you? If you're the Bears, who are you trading? What are you trading for this pick?
You're trading 40 this year and next year second.
Accepted. There we go. And with that, Omarion Hampton's coming off the board. All right, guys. So here's where I can have some fun with my Packers, right? Everyone wants to talk about our wide receiver room. Is this finally the year they do it? If this is how the board falls, they're going to be extremely tempted. Because I think that Igbokwe is going to be the guy, so I'm going to take that pick right here. Packers go with the first-round wide receiver.
That's interesting. Over an edge rusher?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, right now, I still see the way our roster is built, we still have edge guys on that we still like.
Yeah.
And there's still talent to get in day two that will still contribute. I think that there's just enough going on that I'm not as worried at edge as I am really our D-line depth this year. So
gotcha.
That's just my –
No, it makes sense.
favorite.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking with the Packers, not to make this just a Packers and Bears thing, but I was thinking with the Packers, with the way that the Bears are building their offensive line, and if they do take Membu, is that they might start thinking we need somebody that's going to be able to get to Caleb, and because I really do think that this is going to come down to a Bears Packers and Lions division over the next couple of years, where the three of these teams are just fighting it out, and I really feel like teams in this division, and the Lions already have their edge rusher as long as he comes back healthy. But when you're looking at what the Packers and the Vikings and the Lions, which way they're going to go, is I think they're going to start building up to be able to attack Caleb, because Caleb's shown that he can do it from out the pocket, but he's not very mobile.
The guy moves the pocket well, as I'm trying to say. Like he does move around to a level where the Packers are going to struggle with that sometimes. What I'm trying to get at is that's put to your point before. For me, Lucas Van Ness, Carl Brooks, Kenny Clark, they're all there. I think that we still are looking at what we have with. I think that Edgerrin Cooper took great steps as the season went on. I think he's going to keep doing really well in the middle. There's pieces there I still like that I'm not going to go crazy yet on that one. That makes sense.
Yeah.
TJ, I'm going to go around to you to the Vikings.
So I think they're going to pick up Nick Amenawari from South Carolina. He's a safety. I think they're going to train him as a safety, but possibly put him as a cornerback probably his second year. They need something, I think they need a good secondary again. A lot of teams need a solid secondary. I think they're going to kind of do that this year. Pick him up as a safety, put him as a safety, see how he fits, and then go through the next year, put him as a cornerback, because you look at how his stats are, he has that cornerback-esque body. So I think, a lot of the college does not transfer to NFL in size and weight-wise. I think he'll be a cornerback in his second season.
Wow. Over Starks and Watts, too. I like that.
So I want pick 27, Ben. I'm sorry.
I want 26. You gotta pass me to 26 because
right,
I got something brewing for 26.
I don't doubt it. Look, so I'll grab the Texans then, try and keep everyone happy here. Starks and Green being on the board right now is crazy to me. I think they're two very talented guys. I think belong drafted, but the Texans need to get that O-line beefed up. So Josh Simmons is going here. I can't believe he lasted this long also. So Josh Simmons going to the Texans. Steve, you said you wanted the Rams. Go ahead.
Got to trade with the Giants. That pick plus their second rounder this year for I have it punched down here. So we're going to give the Rams pick 34 this year and the second round pick next year for that pick this year.
Declined. Try again.
Oh, for crying out loud. Add a third round pick next year.
Okay, try one more time. Let's see if we can figure it out.
What do they need to give away? Like that
Just give
other
a-
trade got accepted right away.
Give us second for 2027 and take
Second
the
for
third off
20.
the board.
Yeah, just do that.
All right, I'll force it.
Damn.
Wow.
Jesus.
I'll force it.
Rams really
Right.
want this pick.
All right.
I mean, the Giants really want this pick. They are going to take Shador Sanders.
I like what you did there.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
CJ, tell me something good.
Oh, you're gonna love this one. They're gonna pick up Malik Starks.
Yeah.
They're gonna have another
Yeah.
safety in that backfield with Kyle Hamilton. Humphrey, he's old.
That
You know,
defense is
he-
nasty.
That defense is gonna be filthy with him in there. So
Mhm.
that I think that's why he's on that board. Now, I think draft day comes around. If people are saying, he's next in line, I feel like the Ravens will trade up for that.
Right.
But I think that is who the Ravens are going after. And I 100% agree that is who they're going to pick.
Okay. Combs, back to you for the Lions.
Back to me for the Lions. I think that the Lions here. Let's see here, man. Lions are going to take. Can't believe Cam Ward's still on the board. Holy
Right.
cow! Well, Lions take Cam Ward. Lions take Cam Ward because they're going to need a quarterback to start bringing, for golf when he's done in 2 years.
Give me
Well, they picked
Commanders.
up that- Shame on me, I forgot his name already. But the kid from Tennessee they picked a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, but they've already gone away from him, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even think he's on the roster anymore.
I want Commanders. This one, I know this one already. I already know who they're going for because I can't say, but I know.
Where are we going?
Ed Green.
Ed Green.
Mike
Ed
Green,
Sorry, yes, Mike Green. Sorry.
Mike Jones.
Mike
the edge
Jones.
rusher from Marshall.
Yes. They lost Payne this year to retirement,
Mhm.
which is very sad. He was a solid guy there. They're going to start moving that interior line down. They need a new edge rusher. He reminds me a lot of Ryan Kerrigan and how his play style was when Ryan Kerrigan came out into the draft. Filthy edge rusher. His hands, kind of a smaller arm size guy. His arms are not very long, but he's got a ridiculous spin move. And if he's in a 3 technique going on, some type of stunt, he's blowing that up every time.
Yeah.
Mike Green, 100%.
All right. Ed Jones will continue. I'm going to go Shamir Stewart going to the Bills.
And
I'm gonna
you don't want them to trade it to Kansas City so Kansas City could take another wide receiver?
Not yet. But where are you going with them? I'm going to give you the pleasure of picking for the Chiefs. Where
Kansas
are you
City's going to go with Colston Loveland.
Okay.
Yep. They're gonna have Colston Loveland along with Travis Kelce, and then he's gonna replace Travis Kelce next year.
Not Noah Gray fan. That's okay. I don't blame you. Steve, finishing up in your state here with the Eagles. Where does Philly go?
Derek Harmon from Oregon.
Ooh.
Ooh, okay.
They're freaking all about defense. They build the trenches in Philadelphia, and Oregon impressed the living daylights out of me in the Big Ten and in the CFP. I think they would make a very wise decision and to go that direction.
So can I make a rebuttal on that real quick? Justin, I think they're going to go from that kid from North Dakota State to tackle to replace Lane Johnson because Lane Johnson even said he's feeling it. Like his body's really feeling it now. They need another tackle. Put him have them. I think his name's Zabel from North Dakota State.
Yep.
Draft him, have him kind of work underneath him for the season, and he'll fit perfectly because he is another Lane Johnson.
See, I take Harmon because 6'5", 310 runs under a 5 in the 40. He's
So do
played
I.
across the line You know,
Hey, 2 out of
That's
3 games
just-
bad. I hit 2 of those 3.
So-
Sorry.
Who is icy with who's he talking about? Grant who?
Oh, from Michigan.
Yeah.
Oh, the defensive tackle?
Yeah.
Kenneth Grant.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, people are sleeping on him. I think he's the reason why I didn't pick him. I mean, icy Riz. The reason why I didn't pick him with anybody is because I hope he's still there when the Bears pick at 40. See, you gotta go strategic when you're doing these things. You want where's your team landing? Who do you still want on the board?
I think it's going to be an interesting draft this year because I think there's going to be some players that are picked up. And I think there's going to be a bunch that are going to fall the second round if things play out like they may. That first half of the second round could be mighty juicy for some of these teams.
Yeah.
So bad news here, guys. We may have broke PFF's draft thing because it will not analyze our draft. So
You
got a
blame
little
my
crazy with that.
you blame my damn trade for that. You rejected it so many times that you had to force it through.
All right, boys. Well, I got to get out of here. I got to get going.
All right, man. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. And
Yeah.
have a good one, man.
Yeah, for sure. Have a good one, guys.
See ya. Well, gentlemen, we are almost done with the show going right now, but I do want to give you guys a chance to go 4 minutes on high. And I'll start us off here this week, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now.
Uh-oh.
If you're not watching arena football, you're missing out. IFL is in full swing. Watched an awesome Blizzard game this past weekend. You know, talked to TJ before the show a little bit. Some more looking guys. If you don't know, look on YouTube. Type arena football in. You're gonna find games to watch. You can get a feeling for what's out there and what's going on. And make no mistake, these are not crappy football players. Well, maybe some are, but not most of them are not crappy football players. These are good players that have legitimate pro aspirations in a lot of cases. And I can going back to being as a Packer fan. You know, we had a kid named Simpkins, linebacker, played for us. He came through the Blizzard. We ended up bringing him out of the Packers as well. Those kind of things can happen and do happen. And it's also a good way where you see a lot of these arena teams especially tend to pick a lot of your local college kids up in the process. And so you have a chance to see some local boys continue their career. So you can keep cheering for those kids you're cheering for the last 4 years in your college in the area. So just remember, it's a great bang for your buck experience. It's safe for the family as long as you're not too close to the field and if you're not too aware. If you're aware, go nuts, man. Good full-on dad mode. Block that ball. But anyway, true story, guys, by the way. My aunt made the intro video on how to be safe at an indoor football game because she got nailed in the face. So they gave the video of her getting nailed in the face, telling you, make sure you're aware balls will leave the field of play. So my aunt is infamous within Blizzard Nation. But anyway, watch arena football, darn it. And the UFL is not bad. It's fun to watch. TJ, you're up.
You know, I'm going to say that was the best 8 years of my life playing arena football. It is one of the best sports I've played. I've played semi-pro. You know, I've played all around that league, and I think arena football is the best football to watch. So, Ben, I 100% agree with you. If you guys have not seen it, IFL, NAL as well is massive right now. They got a couple games on live right now. It's fun. It is fast-paced. The scores are like sometimes they're like 75-62. I mean, like it's a massive scoring game. It's fun as hell. So my 4 minutes on high. Rest in peace, Iceman. Dude, that one really hit me kind of hard. Growing up watching a lot of Val Kilmer movies, you know, for me, definitely Top Gun was the biggest one for me. I mean, who didn't love watching Top Gun? And then him as Batman with Jim Carrey as the Riddler was great. Tombstone. I mean, Jesus.
I'll be your Huckleberry.
I'll be your Huckleberry, man. And then the one, so this is the one that actually surprised a lot of people that, you know, never want to push religion on people. If you're not religious, that's fine. But watch The Prince of Egypt because he was the voice of Moses and God. And I tell you, that was, I feel like that was one of his best cartoon ones. but he's got so many other movies out there. He played The Doors. He played Jim Morrison. You know, so many great movies. Val Kilmer, you know, at 65, we lost him. You know, he definitely was going through a lot. He had throat cancer. He beat that. And then he just started having, you know, just bad medical. And, you know, at 65, definitely going to miss him. He was, you know, such a great actor. And, you know, he'll be missed as well. I am going to say this right now. If you guys have not, please, and I'm going to say this every weekend until I get some answer, watch college baseball. Please. It is getting hot. The road to Omaha is close. There's a lot of good games going on. It is now like, it's literally conference play. We live here in Annapolis, and we go to the Navy games all the time. They have been winning in walk-off. They just swept Army. They lost to Lafayette. They just beat Maryland Eastern Shore. They've got 2 doubleheaders this weekend of Lehigh and Lafayette on Saturday and Sunday. Just watched Lafayette put 38 points on a team. I mean, like, granted, you know, this is still college. There's a lot of freshmen, sophomores are playing. They don't know really how to command their pitch yet. A lot of errors, but it is very fun to watch. A lot of places, it is free to get in. I've looked at a lot of places around here. Navy's free to get in. Towson's free to get in. Maryland's free to get in. We looked at Virginia Tech, like just local places, $5 to get in. I mean, if you guys have nothing to do on a Saturday or Sunday, look up the local teams, see what their schedules are. If it's a doubleheader, dude, it is amazing. It is fun to watch. College baseball is back. It is in full swing. I love it. And I will continue to say that every time until people are actually watching college baseball.
Thank you, TJ. And I agree with you, by the way. One quick hit for you on that one. Most underrated Val Kilmer movie.
Oh,
Kiss Bang Bang, by the way.
That really?
I love that movie. Love that movie.
There was one movie, and Steve, we'll go to you. I'll figure out what movie this was. You, Steve.
Oh, me. Yeah. I was waiting to see if you came up with the okay. Couple things. Number one, first, Ben, up your direction. Got a chance to watch that touching tribute that the Brewers did for you, first game without Uke. My goodness. Mm-hmm. That video that they put on where they asked a lot of the folks, former play-by-play guys, former other folks with the team, other folk, like what? And then Brian Anderson wrote what a freaking top drawer job they did with that. Kudos to the Brewers for how well they put that on. That was super impressive and a way to honor Uke. I mean, it's going to take a lot to honor him for all he did for that team, but man, that was that great tribute. Secondly, do you folks hear about Freddie Freeman? Slipped and fell in the shower on Sunday morning. So he's on the injured list now. They said there's no X-ray issues or anything like that. So, you know, we'll take it as it is. But I want to finish up with my dear, devoted, somehow still has a job, leader of the Steelers, Mike Tomlin. They might catch the video of him at the meetings in Florida.
Dude, you would think he was in a sauna for how much he was sweating.
He was so profusely sweating as he was talking to the media. Like, I'm sitting there like, man, we're not asking you to, like, you're not going to lose your job if you answer these questions wrong today. But my goodness, you would have thought like he was being asked the combination to a safe with like millions of dollars in it. I mean, it blew my mind when I saw like him wiping the sweat off of his face. And I mean, it was just like, holy cow. Like, was it that hot in that room, or was he just like feeling like he was on the hot seat for some reason? Once again, I don't know how he still has a job, but if you look, every freaking statistic they put out about him, his winning percentage is better than so many. Like, he wins games. He just can't put the bow on it, because his only Super Bowl win was a gift from Bill Cowher, because it was one of his teams as right after he retired that Tomlin then grabbed and took him to the Super Bowl. Since then, I don't know. So, but that just blew my mind when they showed that video on TV of wow, that was just crazy that Tomlin was sweating that much.
Ben, the two movies I was thinking of, Heat and Willow.
That's fair. Heat's very underrated as well. Great movie.
Heat's very underrated, and I will say this right now. So it was yesterday when everybody found out Val Kilmer died. First thing I did when I got home, put on Top Gun, then watch Top Gun Maverick. Dude, I tell you what, it didn't hit me as hard as when Paul Walker died, because I grew up watching Paul Walker. He was the reason why I got into vehicles. He was the reason why I got into tuning cars and racing cars and stuff like that. That one hit a lot harder. And I mean, my wife's asleep right now, but you can ask her when we found out Paul Walker died, dude, I was crying for a week. Like my mom was like, what do are you going to go to school? And I was like, no, I'm not going to school. Paul Walker died. She goes, that's the stupidest excuse not to go to school. Like that. I come into work yesterday and I always have a like Navy shirt on, and it was a Top Gun shirt and it said Iceman. And the guy's like, oh, you didn't hear Val Kilmer died? And I said, no, I didn't. He goes, well, that's why you're wearing your Iceman shirt. I was like, no, I just wear this as an undershirt to work. It's like a dry fit shirt, feels great. And he goes, yeah, he died. And I had to look it up, thinking it was an April Fool's joke. Man's actually gone. So, we're losing a lot of great people in 2025, and it's just beginning of the year. So I am terrified for the rest of this year.
Yeah. Well, guys, it's been great. Let's have a great rest of our week and weekend. We'll see you guys next week. And we're out.
Yeah, I can stand to lose a few pounds, but for right now, I'm working on my dad bod.